a bad day of trade. You may call it Monday blues. You may call it the global risk-off moment or real impact of inflation. There is a concern around demand and there is a concern around supply. Mr. Nadir Godrej joins us, Chairman with Godrej Agrovet. Mr. Godrej, good morning. Thank you for joining us. So every morning I read a new headline. Sometimes it is lemons, sometimes it is milk. Today it is palm oil. What is your understanding of what is happening in the entire agrarian commodity world? I mean, it is one nightmare price after another nightmare. First Indians would buy onions and then they cry. Now we are crying even before we are buying onions. That is what inflation has done to us.
Yes. All of this has been caused by the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. It's a totally incomprehensible war, and it has completely upset the world. Crude oil was the first commodity to shoot up. Unfortunately, crude oil is linked to a lot of other commodities, both on the supply side, because energy is used to produce commodities, but also through direct linkages, the most direct of them being biofuels. Both vegetable oils are used to make biodiesel, sugar and cereals are used to make ethanol as a petrol substitute. So every time crude oil goes up, these critical agricultural commodities also go up, and then competition for land spreads the price to each and every agricultural commodity. But the root cause is the Ukraine war and the crude oil price.
Okay. So how should one understand, let's say for the Godrej group or for Godrej Agrovet, this kind of an volatility in prices? I mean, is this a time when you will benefit because of inventory gain, or this is a time when you actually would see impact because of high demand, because of raw material pressure?
Actually, Godrej Agrovet is more of a producer. We are India's largest producer of palm oil. So obviously we are a beneficiary. There's a formula price, and the farmer gets about 70% of the palm oil price, and we get about 25% of the palm oil price. Our fixed expenses don't change very much with inflation. So whenever palm oil prices are high, we are beneficiaries, but the biggest beneficiary is the farmer. And hopefully India will take the message and promote more production of palm oil as well as oil seeds. Palm oil will take a long time. It takes 5 years for the tree to grow, but oil seeds can be rapidly increased. Support prices for oil seeds need to be increased. We should not be importing so much oil. We should be Atmanirbhar.
Okay. So what happens in the interim before we become Atmanirbhar? Because palm oil is an important raw material for the FMCG industry, for the entire food industry. If the Indonesian ban on export continues, how can we deal with it?
Well, as far as the FMCG industry and the oleochemical industry is concerned, we mainly use the byproducts, palm kernel fatty acid distillate and palm fatty acid distillate. They are not edible oils, and we don't think the Indonesian policy will ban their exports, although I must say the Indonesian policy is extremely hazy. And we do believe that it will probably be a short-term policy. This is Ramzan. The Indonesian government, like every other government, is very concerned about prices for their voters. And they already had a policy whereby a percentage of the oil had to be retained for domestic sales. I don't know why that policy wasn't sufficient to lead them to do a total ban, but we don't expect the total ban to last for a long time. It'll probably be till a little bit after Ramzan is over. The Eid is probably on May 1st. And after that, sometime later, they will relax the ban and probably keep a higher percentage for domestic supplies.
So, Mr. Godrej, I mean, it's clear that there is a demand-supply mismatch if this ban were to continue for, the next foreseeable future. How is it that you at Godrej Agrovet are going to use this opportunity? Do you hike prices? Because clearly, I mean, palm oil is that much and the demand is going to be much higher. It must have already shot up, and I'm sure your phones are already ringing since the morning.
Palm oil is a commodity, so we just sell at the commodity price.
Oh.
I mean, I'm talking about agrovet. And if you're talking about oleochemical business and consumer product business, the consumer product business has a tough time passing on increases in PFAD prices, but the oleochemical industry doesn't have much of a problem because the chemical product prices have gone up even more than the raw material prices. And the Indian chemical industry is very strong. China is suffering because of its new COVID wave, and demand for chemicals is very good. So we don't see any challenge in the chemical industry, whether it is oleochemicals or agri-chemicals.
Good morning, Mr. Godrej. This is Nantara joining in. You're making a point where you're saying that this crisis cannot continue for very long, and you are expecting intervention, Ramzan, this, that, and the other. Now, we've seen prices already go up. I know Nikunj asked this question, but I will ask it again. Even if you see the landing price of edible oils at the Indian port, the way prices have been appreciating in the last couple of weeks, are you expecting a significant price hike in the interim? Till we become Atmanirbhar, till this situation is normalized, till Indonesia restarts exports?
Well, crude oil has already peaked. So I don't see palm oil prices rising much further. And certainly once Indonesia changes their policy, prices will fall.
You're not expecting prices to go up this. So does that also mean right now in the country there's no shortage? I'm asking this also on a Monday morning when we're seeing the markets react to news. It just says Godrej Agrovet opened up 8% in the morning trade. We saw the likes of Britannia open lower by 8%. So the street is fearing that there is going to be a shortage till the solution is found.
I'm not in the refining industry, so I presume there are fairly good stocks. It is possible that the stocks will run out before Indonesia changes its policy, but there will be supplies of palm oil from Malaysia, and there will be supplies of other oils. India has had a rather large crop of rapeseeds, and as the rapeseeds are crushed, there will be a good supply of rapeseed oil. And there will be a summer groundnut crop, and there will be a kharif groundnut crop. And amazingly, groundnut oil, which used to be a premium oil, is now priced below sunflower oil and rapeseed oil. And India has a lot of scope for increasing groundnut production as well. I sincerely hope that oilseeds production will rise, and I urge the government to raise the support prices of all oilseeds.
Sir, if support prices for oil seeds are raised, would that be detrimental ultimately for the FMCG industry in the long-term basis?
No, as I told you, we use the byproducts. And we do not use oil from oil seeds. We use palm oil byproducts. And the byproducts are always at a discount to palm oil. Of course, as palm oil rises, the byproducts also rise. And FMCG can usually pass on the cost increases, but it takes time. They're very scared of competition. They take a lot of time to raise the prices. They carefully watch, but ultimately they raise the prices.
Every time when we've seen an inflationary cycle in any commodity, in any market, in any geography, the following has happened. Big players, they become bigger. Small players, they get marginalized. Do you see the same happening again?
It is very likely because big players can often keep high inventory So in times of a commodity boom, they can benefit from the high inventory. They usually can predict the market better. They have more financial resources. It takes, you need to borrow money to be able to keep stocks, and larger players can access finance at a lower cost. So these are all the advantages that help larger players. And in the long run, consolidation is good for the industry, because after consolidation, the remaining players are more efficient.
Into the future, Mr. Godrej, 3 years out, given that how dynamics have changed and dynamics are changing in the supply, the supply dynamics are changing. Let me rephrase it this way. Where are you investing? Where are you excited about future? Which end of the business you are investing all out?
We are investing a lot in chemicals, because we see the future is very bright for chemicals, and we see as India having a big advantage in chemicals, as I said, both in oleochemicals and in agri-chemicals. And an area we are looking into is green energy. We are not sure we will invest much, but we will use a lot of it, and we will make sure that there's an adequate supply chain. And I'm very excited about biomass. If crude oil is going to be at a high price, and we can't afford to burn fossil fuels because we are only creating more climate change, producing more fossil fuels isn't the solution for high fossil fuel prices. It is more green energy. Unfortunately, solar energy has timing problems. Battery costs are still high. The future, to my mind, is biomass. Bamboo is probably a potential crop that India could grow in a very big way to get out of the cycle. And hydrogen is the future, and we will definitely invest in hydrogen. We are also a user of hydrogen in our oleochemicals business.
So when do you think, sir, things will settle because of the supply disruption? Because there is a widespread acknowledgement that this is not a demand side inflation, this is supply side inflation.
Sure. You tell me when the Ukraine war will get over, and I'll tell you when the prices will come
But sir,
down.
is it all about Ukraine, sir? Is it all about Ukraine?
Largely. It's largely that. There were some price increases before that also, but this is largely because of the Ukraine war. Russian oil is not getting an outlet. Another way of looking at it is, if Russia manages to sell all its oil, this price increase will also fall. I don't know how likely that is. India is certainly helping Russia do that. On moral grounds, I feel very uncomfortable about that. On commodity moderation, it's probably a good idea.
So can I say, if we get a settlement and an indication that the war is going to be ending soon, then will prices go back to what we saw in the pre-war time?
It may take a long time to go there, because green energy hasn't developed as fast as we would like. And as the economy grows, fossil fuel demand is growing, and nobody is investing in new fossil fuels, though these price increases are encouraging some people to increase fossil fuel. So if that happens, prices will go down to the earlier level. Otherwise, they'll probably stay a little bit higher. But it's always very difficult predicting what commodity prices do, because there are many other activities. We don't know how much demand destruction there will be with these very high prices, and how much green energy will take over from fossil fuels because of these very high prices. Though I must say right now, biomass prices have naturally shot up, because everyone wants to use biomass, and they're trying to use biomass in coal plants.
Right. Mr. Godrej, always great having you on the show, and whenever we have you on board, we get more insights than once. The good speaking with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.